ready?
1 minute. You made it. My phone says anyway.
Yeah. It may not be worth my effort to sit out. Loads of grain in this morning, and I thought I was gonna have a nice leisurely drive because I got everything done way ahead of time, and then Sam wanted me to run him over to another farm.
Uh-oh.
So you two run side by side then, or?
It's wet site, you wanna see it? That's what they call having duels. Well, I guess we could say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah, well, that was a little emotional right there.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion for Derby and second for Smith to approve the minutes of the agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Well, Scott said he isn't gonna be here.
Okay.
Ethan, evidently, he didn't hear him get volunteered, so,
If he shows up, we'll take him, I guess.
yeah. I guess I can call down there and see if well, Scott's not gonna answer his. Oh, no. Oh, I pushed 11 instead of, excuse me, we're not ready for you yet. All right, have I? Well, I need back usually. Probably Scott's not gonna answer his. Hers is 75:32. Does Ethan have one? Oh, he does, 75:34.
And nobody's here.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning. I'm here.
Welcome.
Greetings, salutations, and all that wonderful stuff.
Pull up a seat, sit on the floor.
It's our
It
honor,
was a little far.
Sit at the corner of the round table. Who knows?
it's our honor and privilege to make your acquaintance.
Yeah.
Well, Ethan didn't answer.
All right.
that, so. I was just out by the bridge where they're all at.
I just met one of the big boxes.
Did you?
The 10-foot thing that was hanging out the side.
We've got a little 17-acre field we've got to do right just a little bit north of that, so that's where I just took
Even
Sam.
if you don't farm around there, that's good. Because I've been running over to.
Yeah, it's, and next time, we'll spend the extra money and have the dust control done on the whole length of it.
Bad.
Well, the other day, when the wind was straight out of the south, it was such a whiteout on that road. I was the second semi in a row, and then my nephew was behind me, and I couldn't even see the truck in front of me. It wasn't for me to Chris hardly.
Dangerous.
And then the people coming from the other direction were getting all whited out, and they're driving really slow. And if you got someone coming a little fast, they could have rear-ended them.
It was like that on a whole lot of roads.
Well, no, I mean, but this one's got way more traffic than normal. There was probably, I bet there was a dozen vehicles on that mile stretch right there.
Yep, I was on it this last week too.
Yeah. But, no, that was a worst case scenario.
You want to call Chris?
Yeah, should we call Chris? Well, okay, well, auditor's office will discuss drainage matters.
I don't have anything today.
Okay. I guess I didn't see you were right next time. I should have just told you to come anyway. But good thing you were there for me. All right, you guys got anything?
All right, well, thanks.
Come again.
Thanks for your participation.
Yeah, right.
Discussion with possible action change order number 5 for public health building additions.
So this is one that was in the plans as an extra, but we just didn't know what the number was going to be. If you remember the boring results, they were hitting something. It ended up being the Calvary Baptist Church Foundation.
Oh, really?
Yes,
No cemeteries.
quite extensive. And up at the south end of the addition, they found a house foundation. But that part, we think, because it's just where the sewer runs and where some parking's gonna be, we think we'll be okay there. That's been,
And even bed springs.
yeah, well, the bed spring was towards the top of the pile more, on the south part of the north end there.
Oh, man. So the initial borings that we did,
It identified things up in the north end, but it, you know, the area here really wasn't necessary. It was just gonna be parking again, so.
but this house foundation one, that's just parking too, right?
That's parking, you know. Here, we had to excavate it out, and there may be a little bit more right here. The wall going east and west is still somewhat there, but we think that's the end of it. So when they go to do the parking there, I think it'd be best to get that out.
What church was it? I wonder.
Calvary,
Calvary.
the one that's,
They're coming back to haunt us from the grave.
No cemeteries.
So the change orders for the extra excavating expenses.
well, yeah, it
Remove
was
on-site
in the
foundation.
bid so much per ton, I think, was it, or cubic yard they had to take out.
Yeah.
So, but their bid was way lower than everybody else per ton or cubic yard.
822 tons or 587 cubic yards. And they charge by the cubic yard $45, $26,000.
So we knew it was coming, we just didn't know the number. It just wasn't in the original bid.
So since that's over 10, we have to,
I thought it best that you all participated in this one. And be aware that we'll probably do a little bit more on the north end, which may not have to come to us. It could probably just be done by committee.
where do they take all that?
It's, most of it was concrete and block, and I think it was going out where they crush.
Because there wasn't any metal in it anyway, probably. huh?
Right. I think it was somewhere local, south of town or whatever.
I thought you said they were bed springs. What were they?
Oh.
West or Serta?
I'm talking about, yeah, the concrete, but
Oh, okay.
bed springs.
But the other bids that came in for the whole project were much higher in that part of it. So.
What was the original bid?
Well, what
Was
I'm
it
saying,
kinda over?
the original contract bid
Yeah,
is one thing. This was identified as bidded by the cubic yard or
yeah.
ton or whatever, and the other bidders on theirs were much higher than this.
Yeah, I remember seeing, it was like 75 versus 45 or
Yeah.
something.
I was just wondering how much it increased from what we thought it may be if it wasn't too bad. But
We
there's
had, we didn't know.
there's
Yeah.
not really
It was an unknown.
It was still the cheapest bid
It was-
per ton or per cubic yard anyway.
But we
Yes.
have had previous change orders that gave us credits,
Mhm.
so we're not doing horribly.
Right,
I mean,
When we connected the building, originally, we were gonna have a flat roof. That was an expensive flat roof. Now we're shingling everything, and that lowered the price of the roofing. And then the
We're
sewer and
using a-
water hookups
yep.
were unforeseen. They thought they were gonna have to go to the street, but they didn't have to. So they just had to go to the curb boxes in that area by the sidewalk. So it saved money there too.
I mean, the cubic yards doesn't necessarily change too much. What changes is how hard it is to dig it out.
Yeah, it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they had to go deeper than they expected.
Yeah.
You have to excavate it
Yeah,
out. to get
has to come
the
out.
footings in there.
Well, that's rather self-explanatory, and we knew there could be a surprise.
So I'll make a motion to approve change order number 5 for public health building addition for the removal of the foundations.
I'll second.
Motion by Derby, Harvey and a second from Smith to approve the change order number 5 for public health building addition. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Open the forum.
I don't think we have anything for open forum, so.
Nothing? No?
Gary ever send you the PDF of the changes? All of them?
Yes, he did.
Trying to see.
And it's sitting on my counter.
Okay, because I haven't seen it yet. Was that last week?
Yeah. Would you like to see it?
Sure.
While you're in there, you can get my stamper.
I suppose.
I can come in and get it.
I think he's gonna be heading over the bridge. They know that. Huh? They know that. Okay.
Oh, come on in, come on in.
That's fine.
No, no,
I
no,
don't have
really.
anything to report, I
It's
just
your turn.
wanted to make sure you knew
No,
that.
it's your turn.
You want to get yourself on YouTube?
No,
No.
no.
Just once before you go?
At least you're
The
not.
seat right there doesn't focus in on the
know.
camera.
Yeah.
Tell us
No.
your proposed last day
Well, I want to be on the payroll through December
through December.
31st, depending on when we get somebody hired, when they get started. I might use some of my vacation at the end of
Yep.
my December.
There you go.
Are they getting lots of applications in there?
We have,
I figured that'd be
Great.
good.
we have had a lot, yeah, and some good ones.
Thank
So I don't think they'll have any problem getting a replacement for me.
Good. Those are tough shoes to fill.
If you were to come in here, it wouldn't be so bad. See, I've got a face for radio. Just think all those poor horrified people in YouTube land.
No
That is
offense.
insulting.
I was gonna say, no offense.
Man. No, I'm excited, I'm ready.
Yeah.
All right.
Done my time,
Well, thanks for your
Your
report.
tour of duty is over.
my tour of duty.
Yeah.
Well, I got a little while to go, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hopefully, I'm gonna get a couple weeks with someone new to.
That's
We'll,
right.
we'll circle the courthouse with dump trucks and graders and mowers.
Oh, yeah.
Have a parade?
Have a little parade.
Yeah, sure.
That'd be something. I did put that on my bucket list, however. I told Ethan, I said, I would like to ride in the snowplow once, just to say I did that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Depends on who's driving.
Depends on who's
You get to
driving.
pick the driver.
Yeah. I don't tolerate, I get real motion sick quick, so it's like, I probably would last from here to the corner and back. It's on my bucket list.
I think that's a good idea.
Anyway, I wanted to make sure you knew that he
Yep.
was going to be. So,
Thank you.
thank you, Bat. Talk to you later.
She thinks they're gonna replace her. Right.
Well, consider for approval.
Carla, does this have to be stamped?
No.
Nothing needs to be signed on it.
I can sign it.
Can you sign it?
I'll sign it.
All right. Consider for approval payroll claims.
Payroll claims.
Is this one? Right now? Or
Yeah,
the
that's the
other
one we just approved.
Okay, that's the number?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, in the end, it's not, we knew something was gonna have to be there,
I think Julie made a
but
change in
overall,
the
there's the bottom line.
door knobs or something, she didn't she?
No, we just had to make decisions. There's gonna be some additions on that.
Yeah.
For openers and things. That was a, 2-hour meeting or more
Yes,
last?
3, she said.
No, it was 2.
Oh.
It's like 3.
Felt like 3, but it
You're
was 2.
exaggerating.
Too bad I couldn't have been there. That always makes time go by quick.
Did you want
Yes,
this one
it
back?
Yes. Well, I can print another one if you want it.
Well, forward it to me.
Okay.
I didn't find it.
You can, I want, I can make copies. sure you didn't get it? I thought you were on there.
Well, let me look again. Just look, I didn't see it. I got other ones from him. One about door control systems. Oh, that is, all right. The heading misled me. I got it.
Okay, you found it?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All this stuff is in the file, so I have a great big file, so if anybody wants to see any of it, it's all in there.
What's happening with Bowen's food store in town? Is there any more? What's going on with the
The library project.
library
that it
project,
didn't go.
grocery store? Anybody know
City still
anything?
owns the building, right?
Furs and no. And they're really pushing against a lot of public about
Moving?
moving to Walworth.
Have they had any meetings on that lately?
There was supposed to have been one. I did not attend because I was in the process of watching women hammer a ball at each other. The best way I could put it, because that's what it was like. I don't know what the results of that were. It's gone quiet, very quiet since,
I think it's back
That's why I
to
was
planning.
asking, I was like, haven't you think, I don't know what's going on.
because there was a lot of resentment about moving it to Walworth, which, okay.
What was the original reason for doing that?
Save money,
Yeah,
Hours,
collaboration,
you'd be open every day of the week.
public, private.
Evidently, the city on its own can't afford to have a library run 7 days a week because of staffing issues. Not necessarily they don't have the funding, it's just that staffing issues would be about somewhat of a
most of them don't.
logistical problem. Yeah, I know. There are a lot of metropolitan libraries I know that are closed on Sundays, so, or at least they were. My hometown is Mushroom, so I can't speak to what it's like now.
Sorry, I'm getting that.
Got plenty of time.
No, we don't.
It's 9:30.
See?
Has anybody been out to Nature's and anything, and it's taking a peek?
I drive by it all the time. Lights were on last night, the outside lights. I'm wondering if they got their breaker in, breaker box. Lights were on the other night inside throughout. Somebody must have been working in there.
Lisa sent me some pictures, you can see it on our website.
We're gonna have some kind of an open house or something
In December,
in December.
that's what I heard at one time, but I don't know if that's still a thing.
So these from Jay, what was that all about?
Well,
I wondered, it was really thick.
yes,
It's like
Jay
for how many months?
and Steve miscommunicated. Steve has a rule that all the employees are supposed to send their own payroll to Chelsea. Well, Jay didn't do that. Jay just put his payroll up on Steve's door and did not send his payroll to Chelsea. And didn't realize that he wasn't getting his checks until,
So he just thought he was getting CC'd on kind of hard copy.
yeah, well, he didn't email his checks at all.
Well, wouldn't Steve, when he's getting all that stuff on his door, say something?
Well, that's where everybody's supposed to put their checks, and then everybody's supposed to email their checks to Chelsea.
Besides,
Yes.
Oh, so that it wasn't out of normal to have them there. Okay, I get it.
So,
part-timers.
yeah, and then when when Jay was supposed to be getting his last check, realized he didn't get his last check, well then went back and was like, oh, I hadn't got April, May, June, July, blah, blah, blah.
Uh,
And so now we're paying him for all the months that he didn't get paid for because he didn't follow the procedures like he was supposed to.
That's a long time.
It is a long time.
August, September.
Attention to detail.
Yeah, well, and we wouldn't know because Jay is a part-timer and sometimes he gets hours, sometimes he doesn't get hours. And
I should have noticed.
Not necessarily your responsibility to.
it's the department head's responsibility to make sure that all of their people get their paychecks into us. So,
Wouldn't you have noticed that you weren't getting paid enough?
well, you would think.
Well, this is a nice
I would
surprise
notice
if we
if I
approve
didn't
it.
get a check.
I definitely would notice if I didn't get a check,
Maybe
yes.
not for 1 month, but for multiple.
5, 6.
Well, he must have been getting something, just not all of it.
No, he wasn't
Wasn't
getting anything.
I must say, Christmas is gonna look awfully good this year for him.
It's not a ton of hours.
That's not a ton of hours, but
Okay, well,
Oh,
so that's the story.
Is that all the payroll claims?
Is that all of them?
Yeah.
Yes.
I would like to make the motion to approve the payroll claims.
I'll second it.
motion from Smith and a second from Derby to approve the payroll claims. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
And I mean, I'm sure they're going to be explaining to the external auditor why there's that many checks all at once.
Yeah, it's a
I thought it felt really thick.
kind of an odd thing.
Peaked.
Well, I thought it was the whole department and I kept seeing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
is
That-
your wrist okay after going through all that, there, Bill?
Huh?
Is your wrist okay after
You
going
know,
through all
and
that?
I've got a little tennis elbow too.
Yeah, I was
here
gonna say,
working,
carpal
you know.
tunnel tennis, yeah.
Yeah, the carpal tunnel is flared up. I've been doing
Darn part-timers.
too many things with my hands. Cranking tarps and traps. And
What, you don't have automatic turns?
we, on 2 trailers, one does not. And then, we got to put a new up auger in the grain cart yesterday. That was fun.
Not much.
You don't like my color commentary?
What's that?
What are you talking about? What's so funny?
He just said,
I hope you brought enough for everybody.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the county claims.
Second.
Motion made and second from Smith to approve the county claims. All in favor, say aye.
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 Now what?
sometimes it's just interesting to work here, Bill.
Is it?
Anytime you got that many people.
That there are. There are sometimes a lot of entertainment when you deal with a lot of different people.
Mhm. There is.
I'm sure there's times though after, how many years? How many? 14 or how many years?
Well, I've been 12 years as the auditor, but I've been in the courthouse for 20.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes you think you're not gonna be surprised by anything, and then there's something that didn't expect that.
Like the guy that drove around me last night sitting in line at Christensen.
Drove around you.
Yeah,
Were you napping?
no, I was back cranking open my tart.
Hmm.
And he pulled up there, moved it around me to the scale, followed the truck that was sitting in front of me, the head wasn't even on the scale yet. Pulled up behind him on the scale, and I'm like,
Yep.
so I went
Couldn't wait for you to untarp home.
Yeah, no, so I went over and I said, so do you have a special license to, you know, is there like a VIP card you can get to drive around everybody else in line, or? I made a mistake. He started backing up. I said, no, just sit there now. It's just, but, you know, evidently he hadn't been here
Time
before.
of day was that?
7:30 last night.
Scarborough stayed open till 9 last night.
Christensen's been staying up until 8.
Okay. I couldn't understand why they chose last night to stay open till 9, when it's always been 7.
Well, it was rain in the forecast, I suppose people.
Oh, I know, but there has been in the past too.
Yeah, we had to do some combine in the old-fashioned way yesterday while we were fixing the grain cart. Mark was out there, and he went until it was full, and he'd go with the trucks out in the field, and he'd drive over and dump it in the trucks, and he'd go back to where he said, so there you go.
Those 5,000 bushel grain trains or whatever it is.
It's hard on compaction on the fields when they do that stuff too.
Yeah, well, usually we park them in the field a lot, but it's right by the driveway, you know, so it's just, all the grain carts doing some packing, but, so the trucks are only in the field for maybe 100 yards or whatever.
There was a few people loading on the road yesterday.
Yeah, we had a driveway on the top of the hill. Some keys changed.
Are you on, Matt?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
Pad's on also. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the 9:30.
Sounds good.
Minute fast. We can go by that one. There it is.
9:30.
9:30 a.m. discussion regarding Bitcoin mining.
I asked to have this put on just because I thought we needed some kind of clarification, on the zoning and just kind of some final, just to kind of put the lid on this, or what we needed to know more regarding, the zoning. Maybe Matt, you can address that again. I'm still a little confused on whether if there's different zoning for the different areas. Can you speak to that at all, Matt?
I guess I don't understand your question.
Well, are all of the, I can't say the word for it, what is the stations?
Substation?
The subs, yeah. Are they all zoned the same in the county?
They're all under utility.
Yeah, yep. As far as what the parcel is zoned, I don't have any paperwork that says that they're not, zoned commercial or, something's been changed. So, my understanding is everything's zoned ag until it gets changed. So that's agriculture, and they have a commercial set up in an agriculture setting then, correct? What was that? Who's talking? This is Thad Wonder. So is that properties, so the substation is zoned agriculture, utilities have an exemption to put utility things in agricultural land. However, the utility has leased it out to a private entity. I don't think that private entity would fall under the utility zoning exception. Okay, I disagree. So I was answering Susan's question. I didn't know that this was a question and answer situation.
I think what I was just hoping to do today was just to clarify so we all know. I don't think our communication has been great, so that everybody knows really how we stand on this issue. I know Thad's been trying to get a hold of to get answers, and he called me, and I don't have the answers. So that's why I wanted it on the agenda today, just so that we could better understand it and hopefully resolve the issue.
Well, the issue is there's a loophole in the law evidently, and I don't know how any for-profit private company can come in and piggyback off of a utility. I mean, I can understand the utilities, but having some private entity come in, I mean, it doesn't pass the smell test to me. I mean, it's, any other business would have to pay taxes.
So the other concern that I have is that they're doing an addition to it. It almost looks like it's maybe going to be doubled in size based on the concrete that's poured out there. And I guess I just didn't know if that's like, okay.
Well, and then the other thing of it is in my opinion too, last time Matt said he was using the home business rule. to justify a business going to a agriculture property. In a home business rule, there's more than one employee out there multiple times, and with the zoning ordinance of Winnebago County with a home business, I think you can only have one additional employee, and there's two employees out there frequently. So, first of all, I don't think you can extrapolate the home business rule for a farmstead to a commercial property in the first place. I think that's a stretch. And they're violating the number of employees that are allowed of the home business rule.
We farm out that direction, and so I drive by it multiple times, and there's often two cars there. So I guess I'm just trying to get answers, you know?
Well, it seems like to me that the sublease there, or the leasing of the property, it is by Heartland Power, who is benefiting by this, by selling more kilowatts on a basis that benefits all of us that are part of Heartland Power. You know, there's a lot of constituents that are part of that organization as owners, and they only utilize the power when it's available on a lower cost basis.
So how
Not necessarily. Their hours to only be shut down are from 2 to 6, and often they ask other customers to be shut down. You know, the conserve energy quite a bit longer than that. So that's not a 100% accurate statement. I believe that was Terry. And so, I mean, and our rate still went up 12%. And so the other thing of it is even if they're subleasing it out, they would not fall under, that entity would not fall under the utilities exemption for having agriculture, or utilities in an agricultural property.
Heartland Power benefits, but where is the office where that check ends up at, where the money ends up at? It doesn't necessarily, I still think Winnebago County is getting cheated out of some tax revenue here that any other business would have to pay. And it's good for Heartland Power, otherwise they wouldn't be doing it. But to me, the infrastructure, anyone else has to pay taxes on their infrastructure of their private business, and these people should too. So I guess the real question is we have to figure out how we can change our zoning laws, or what's legal, you know, as far as state regulations go and stuff, to what we have the power to do here.
But they're temporary structures.
There's no, in the zoning ordinance, there's never a mention of a temporary structure in it. And a building is described as anything that protects property
There's going to be a lot of people
in the zoning ordinance.
There's going to be a lot of people putting up temporary structures here if they can get by with that, I would think.
Yeah, so they pour a concrete pad, ran electricity to it, put transformers in there. It doesn't seem real temporary to me. And how long can a temporary structure be up before it becomes a permanent structure, Matt?
Did you hear that question?
I just reviewed in the ordinance what it is. It's, you know, temporary structure. Like I said, I defined it with the footings. That's what it says. So.
Can you email me that temporary structure thing? I looked through the ordinance. I did not see that anywhere.
Yep, I will.
Okay. They poured footings for it, so, I mean, how deep does a footing have to be before it becomes a permanent structure?
When I went out there and inspected it, they're just paths on grade. That's what I witnessed. That's what I saw.
They graded out there. They graded to create those pads. Not like that was the original contour.
it's a difference between a floating slab and a footing slab. A footing slab goes down a certain depth and a floating slab doesn't.
Oh, you're splitting hairs here as far as I'm concerned. It's,
So my main concern is I would like to know what that property's zoned. If it's agriculture, how can a commercial property be in there? And I haven't had a good answer for that.
Well, this is the same as, some of these big hoop structures that are in our county that distribute fertilizer. They're actually mixing products,
That's agriculture products, though. There's an exemption in the zoning ordinance for agriculture things. My question is, how can a commercial property be running a commercial business out of something that's zoned agriculture? That makes zero sense to me.
The assessor has indicated that, what's the dominant use of a parcel. And this is a part of the utility use.
It's leased out to somebody else.
Part
The
of
utility's not using that.
Right, part of it is. So it's like when I was talking about that ag hoop building, it was just a part of a parcel. And the dominant use of the parcel was agriculture. Here.
And how do we figure the dominant use?
Excuse me. I'm trying to explain to you, and I'm getting tired of being interrupted, much like Matt did. All right?
Is this Terry?
Yes.
Okay. And I would also, when I leave you a voicemail, appreciate a phone call back.
And I'm
Maybe
sorry,
one.
but I was in a meeting and then I forgot to get back to you, all right?
Multiple times.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
had multiple meetings last week. So.
We're all busy.
I'd rather
You're a paid
discuss
public
this
employee.
Excuse me. I'd rather discuss this in an open meeting in a congenial matter, and I'm not really happy that I get interrupted all the time, all right?
Okay.
Normally, a meeting is run with each person gets a chance to talk, all right? So I'm trying to explain to you how dominant use of parcels works, but I'm being interrupted on how dominant conversation is.
Could you finish your point, because I lost where you were at the beginning?
Yes.
I apologize,
Yeah.
because I'm trying to get a good quote here, and
Yeah,
I'm not getting anything,
So from the assessor says the dominant use of a parcel is the way it's assessed. And here it's a little confusing because it originally was commercial, and when we changed our zoning laws, it went automatically to agricultural, but this is being taxed through the utilities, and that is outside of the purview of the county. Utilities is done through the state.
Okay. Is that your point?
Yes.
Okay. So how is dominant use qualified as?
Because most of the parcel is being under the utilities.
But how is that calculated? By amount of energy, square foot,
Well, that's
amount of money?
that we don't have control, assessor-wise.
My understanding, the assessor has nothing to do with it in the Winnebago County.
Right. Not anything to do with utilities. That's why it's
Correct.
out of our control.
No, it's not out of our control. They put a commercial entity in something that's zoned agriculture. Utilities have an exemption to do that in the zoning ordinance. This is not a utility entity that built this. So I don't understand how something that is not utility, private for profit, one, can fall under that exception, and two, there's multiple employees there. So, and they've never filed a building permit, to my knowledge, unless they did now. But
I have one here.
Is it on?
Okay, do you have one for their new addition?
Not yet.
Okay, don't we usually
Matt, do you
do a
have
building
one?
permit before we start the build?
I'd have to look at their permit. I don't know if it shows the expansion or not. I haven't driven by there to see what they've got going.
So, I would like, if it's possible, some clarification from the county attorney. I think we can talk till we're blue in the face here. Until we know what's actually legal, I think that's the only way we're gonna get an answer.
It would be nice to know if there's a percentage or a square footage or a per acre or a something to know what percentage of it is done. I mean, is it 51% is the dominant use?
What was your question again, Carl?
Is this on a utility parcel?
Yes.
Then we don't have any control over this. It is a utility parcel.
That's like I said, this is basically a state thing. And I don't like the way, I don't know what you gotta do to change things like that, but I guess you gotta talk to your legislatures. It'd be interesting to know how much tax dollars the state gets from that Bitcoin entity that's on the utility.
We get monies back from the state for utilities, don't we? Like all the big power lines, and so that all comes back to us. Whether it's on a percentage or not, I don't know.
We get paid for, it's like by miles is what we get paid.
What about the substations?
And we get paid for substations too, but
It's just increase the value of the substation when it's there, so therefore the utility is paying more to the state.
it's some
Yeah.
weird formula that
Yeah.
really I don't know how it works anymore. It used to be a lot more cut and dried, but the utilities have lobbied and we pay a lot less in utilities than what we used to in the past.
Well, it'd be all right if all that money savings was coming back to the customer, but it doesn't seem to be.
So I think that it's important to look at just because of the expansion of it, because it almost looks like the Bitcoin is going to be a larger amount of square footage, if that's where we're gonna go, than the actual substation. Or whatever that's called out there.
Is your whole point because they're not paying taxes like everybody else, or what is your whole point?
Who are you talking to? Are you talking to me, Terry? My whole point is, if we have a zoning ordinance, and I believe they should follow it. That's my whole point. That's my problem.
Well, I'm looking at a map here, and it looks like you're farming part of their property there.
Not anymore. They ripped it all up. They mowed it down the other day because they said they were going to plant it to prairie habitat, which they didn't. So, and that doesn't matter. That was a verbal agreement when it was sold to originally to whoever Heartland Power bought it from, that we would farm that, but they didn't have to take care of it. And it's been farmed for 30 years that way. So, my whole point is we have a zoning ordinance, and I believe everybody should follow it. And they are also discharging hot air onto my property, or the property that I rent.
And did they offer you crop damages?
It doesn't matter. I don't think somebody should be allowed to do that in the first place.
I was told that they offered you crop damages, and you said you would not cash the check.
That was, so That was for when they mowed down the corn. That was planted there. Because they said they were going to plant it to prairie habitat for butterflies, which they obviously haven't did. I have never got an offer for crop damages from the company that's discharging hot air onto the property. And I don't think somebody else should be able to affect another person's use of their property. I mean, those 6 rows closest to the substation were half as many bushels as the rows 7 to 12. Because of all the hot air that's discharged. I don't think that's equitable.
Well, I guess I was told by the utility company that they, as the owner,
The utility company offered to, when they mowed down the corn, to reimburse us for that. So you had time to call the utility company and speak to them, but not call me back. Thanks, Terry.
well, that was much before this, so.
So, yeah. So my whole point is zoning. Are they following the rules?
Well, I guess we'll have to find out from the utility control side of it at the state level, how they look at it. So I'm not sure
Sure.
our side of the determination of ag or commercial is really even relevant here. I don't know.
It is because, I believe it is because it's the Winnebago County zoning ordinance that allows utilities to build substations in agriculture zoned areas. So it is relevant.
So you're
I think-
looking for us to send this to the county attorney to make a determination on this.
I don't know what the answer is. I mean, it seems like we're just going to say, well, it's fine. Let them do what they want to do. They can just do whatever they want. So.
All right.
So, all right, I have to get back to work here, so I'm going to get going. I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you. And if somebody, when they get some information, if they could please pass it along, email it to me. I believe you all have my email. I've sent you all emails before.
All right, I just wanna make sure nobody's found a loophole to get around paying taxes like everyone else has to.
Yeah. No, I agree with that too.
That's my
But
main concern with the whole thing, is it's, someone's always trying to figure out an edge to not pay things, so it's.
Yep, I hear you. So, all right, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right,
Bye.
well, anything else on that?
I guess just to kind of wrap things up, I was contacted probably about a year ago, I don't know, 6-8 months ago, about this, and what was told to me was they're building structures that are too close to the property line. So I went out and created a document that proves that even if the use isn't there, these structures are still meeting the setback requirements. Interpretation of what they're doing, as far as I'm concerned, is a can of worms that, I guess I'd rather have lawyers discuss that. But that was the main concern when I got a phone call from him. Is their building structure too close to the property line? I verified that it wasn't, created that report, sent it to you guys and to him, and now it keeps coming back of, something else and something else and something else. I guess that's kind of where I'm at is, I thought that I created the document to prove what, he was asking for and, you guys were asking for. So, I guess I don't know if you guys need me to do anything different or if I need to get a hold of my zoning commission and we look at our zoning ordinance, in lieu of Bitcoin mining. I guess it's up to you guys.
I think it would be good for our county attorney to look at this, what I would call a gray area, because the state does all the utility stuff, and have her look at the code and say whether or not we have any control over what the utility is doing on their property.
The control, and then see what they're paying in taxes through the state.
Yeah, how does that
And
work?
if we're getting reimbursed back through, then
Yeah.
they're paying taxes like everybody
Is
else.
what they're doing for Bitcoin mining improving the property valuation, which I don't think it's gonna, because it's all temporary structures there,
I mean,
which is unfortunate.
there's two reasons that they would build where they're doing it, and one is they're trying to get around paying some taxes. The other is that's right where the power is that they need, evidently, and these things require a lot of power.
But then they could have bought another acre of land,
Well,
And
yeah,
they're
yeah, no, they could have done
Bitcoin
something.
mining on that, and
relatively
it could
close
be
to it.
zoned.
And to me, I guess I'm leaning towards that they figured out a way around it. And
So to be clear on this, there's a structure very close to, but still within regulation of a neighboring farm land. Is the structure on current active farmland? I mean, are they actually were they farming on that farmland, or did they purposely put the building away from their crops, aiming towards?
I think the crops, the way I understood it from before, the crops that were damaged were actually crops that he planted on their property.
He was
Where the property
encroaching
line
on
is.
their property on the east side.
But often when you have a substation on your property, the Alliant or Heartland or whomever wants you to crop it, but they will have access to it if they need it. But they want you to keep the weeds down, and that's been the
But
case
he's-
for a
Even
number
if
of
you got
years.
half yield, he's not out too much because he's not paying rent. So,
And doesn't own it.
yeah, he doesn't own it anyway. And the person that's probably leasing the property to the utility is getting paid every year, so.
Just as well as. So, right now, this is the substation, this is existing, and now they have another whole set that's, concrete is poured for that out there, with power up to it and everything.
Are they similar paths to these?
Mhm.
What's that parcel number?
Let's see. It says on that.
My concern is, if we're going to be addressing this, we should address it before those are built.
I guess I don't have it here. I'd have to look it up online. I don't know if it says.
Want the address?
Oh, here it is. 0705100005.
Thank you.
So I guess if we were to ask Kelsey to look at this, I guess the questions are, do we have any control over it? But I don't know, is there somebody at the Department of Revenue that handles this, or
Probably.
That's the trouble.
that'd be the person to ask about these structures? Do they improve the value, and do we get anything back on it?
Okay.
Further you get it from home, the less you understand it, unfortunately. The control.
And I understand Thad's frustration, even though it may not have been the initial question or argument as far as lot lines or that kind of stuff. It's like I always say, be careful what you ask for, because then we're gonna look at it. And now we're looking at it. I'd like to resolve it just because for his peace of mind and are we not receiving tax money from that? And You know, is Heartland, I guess maybe it's none of our business, but is Heartland leasing that, or is it just because they're getting to provide energy to it? And that's their benefit.
Oh, and somebody had said that there are counties that are recruiting Bitcoin mining. So they must have a way of tasking it when it's not on a utility. So it's something maybe that his board needs to look at how we're gonna do that if that comes up.
Exactly.
Because I know in Franklin County, about a quarter of a mile down the road from a substation, leased some land that had to be zoned
Sure.
properly.
I mean, if you put a Bitcoin mining thing on the corner of your acreage, you know,
Then there you go, it might be home based,
and
you never know. But, you know, the other one we have in the county is in a commercial business, so it's not an issue. They're already paying commercial taxes, so.
so, you know, the concern is they probably sold Heartland more, you know, so that could be Bitcoin on all 3 acres or 4 acres or however many acres it is. I mean, when we had the gentleman from Heartland, what was his name? When he was here, you know, he kind of had the answers to all of our questions, but I feel like you still have questions.
My guess is,
So when I pull up the parcel report, this parcel is classed as commercial.
So it's still commercial.
under utility control.
Well, it doesn't say utility, it says commercial.
Has this been here for a while, that substation? Do you know
Well,
if that's been
Thad said
there
it's
for a
been
while?
there for 30 years.
Yeah, it's been,
Okay. It looks like we updated or adopted a zoning ordinance in 2003, so,
20 years ago.
and my understanding is that the existing use is what it is probably what it's zoned. You know, I kept saying ag because I don't have any paperwork that says that they changed the zoning on it. But going through what we did in Worth County, when we changed the zoning in May, that it basically goes to a continued use. So if it's being used as a substation, it's going to be listed as a substation. And every single one of our districts, utility substations are listed in those districts, whether it be ag district, you know, commercial, industrial, light industrial. It's all listed in there. So, you know, I can go back to say, well, then it's going to be classified as commercial because it's grandfathered in because that's what it was to begin with when we adopted the ordinance. That makes sense.
Let me look in our Tyler system just to see what the tax is on it.
so
Okay.
when Carla looks it up, it says it's commercial.
That's on Beacon.
Maybe
Yeah.
we need to see what Carla.
Or does it have anything to do with her?
Let me look in Tyler.
See, buddy.
Then I can see how it's actually, what the tax is on it.
Do you have access there?
Yep, I'm working on it. It's just slow opening. It hasn't been opened in a long time, so it's got a lot of updating to do.
Need a letter opener?
Yeah, no kidding.
Be curious to go on Franklin County's website, look at that parcel that they have commercial now, field, and see how they're taxing it.
You working out in
Even
the
though
downtown
they're
office?
Yep.
I gotta stop over there and get the
But I
tour
think-
someday.
You gotta take a peek.
I saw it during construction.
Buildings that are slabs. No footing.
Nice to walk it.
But I guess the big thing is, you have to look at what's equipment and what's structure. Here they have a piece of concrete and a fiberglass shell, right? What's the value of a fiberglass shell?
Not a
You
building.
can't tax the equipment inside, the computers, on servers.
They tax energy. Full of energy, so
Yeah. The one thing about this project, it gets Heartland Power more buying power. They reduce their rates through Dairyland by being able to sell more power in the off hours.
You must order lunch.
It sounds like this place uses more energy than all of Mount Valley.
There's the existing one,
Township.
and then the proposed is,
I don't have a problem with that.
that's
I have a problem with people not paying their fair share of taxes.
There's the existing
I'm
one.
sure what they're doing.
New ones are, and then
To me, it's more like
Then there's usually
their
two people.
income tax we'd like to tap into.
Shed.
That's my other question is, with our 1%
Me,
income
it's not
tax surcharge,
enclosing
are they
structures
paying
really
any
or
tax
anything,
in the
it's just,
county where they actually?
It doesn't need to be.
develop the-
Where you got a bunch of computers working around the clock in there.
creating a lot of,
I'm sure the butterflies are just gonna be very thrilled to pieces. It's gonna be so warm there, they won't have to migrate.
Insects really like heat.
Oh, yeah, they love it.
Yeah, they die.
Plant a bunch of milkweed around there, boy.
Oh, yeah, so they're not gonna
It's
be
all
with
good
their
till you get an
planet
ice
stuff.
storm.
That's right.
And you get an ice storm and a couple of power lines go down.
this in front
For a
of there
week.
is where the butterfly
Where
is
the-
planned,
where the field
Get
is.
it.
yeah.
It's gonna be a bird haven if they plant milkweed out there.
Yeah, I used to hate milkweed. It's a good.
If you like monarch butterflies.
Easiest, to tag them, you just get out there and you could have right there by the substation.
Unfortunately, I tag a lot of them with my vehicle. And I'm only one of millions of vehicles. Just think how many monarch butterflies are getting hit every year.
All I know is it was a treat when you were in Tucumcari, New Mexico, about this time of year.
When they're herding back,
Just coming through like crazy.
they go all the way down to Mexico, don't they?
Yeah, all the way down here. They hit the low valleys just outside the mountains. So they come right through the edge of the White Mountains. They're in, right near Tucumcari, close to the Texas border. And if you're there, the right time of year, it's a sight to see. I mean, they're just everywhere.
It's just amazing that a bug could have that kind of
It's one way.
wired like that.
Hi, can you run me a treasurer's
Hummingbirds do
statement
that
Yeah,
too.
hummingbirds do
on
it too.
this parcel?
Cause you
They don't
get,
seem big enough to,
no,
like, you see the geese flying and they
So,
glide for miles and stuff.
yep.
El
So
Paso,
we're
Texas,
0705.
early November. Hummingbirds are everywhere.
Yep.
4 zeros and a 5.
So I see there's a bunch of migration going
And
through
then
Central Park.
on the left side, go to treasure parcel.
Yeah, there's a ton of that going
And
on
then
right
at the
now.
top, there's a play arrow.
A set of drones.
It'll say run
All lit up
report,
at night.
and
They're all
it'll say
like one.
like treasurer's
They look like a
report.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's-
or whatever.
That's how they're
That's-
actually doing fireworks.
That's an
now
art form.
In some places. They're doing fireworks.
It's an art
like
form.
that.
Safer.
Safer.
birds, and 3 bald eagles circling around us as we were combining the field by Sam's. And when he went down the last row and all the bunny hoppers come out of that row,
Remote
one of them
controlled
didn't make it.
drones, video games.
I
I
always
was
like
just
taking
talking
video
to
of that last
Air Force
row.
recruiter down in Florida, and he works out of
Pheasants.
My wife used to enjoy watching the bald eagles.
I
So
forget if
going to
he's
work
out of
one day,
England or
one
the
of us
other
grabbed the
Air
bunny,
Force Base there.
was going over and dropped it on her comfort
said,
phone.
"What was that?"
They travel around to colleges and high
I never
schools.
thought.
Yep.
And he said one of our offices right now is recruiting people.
They're
to be-
kind of a
Right, I think it was going.
He said some of the best candidates are
Yeah.
kids that
Imagine if they
that
still
fly
had
their own
pterodactyls, they were
drones
picking
and
us up.
kids
So
that
it says
play
it's
video games.
centrally assessed
They have
through the
that
Department of
hand-eye
Revenue.
coordination, they're used to looking at
Again, say
screen
again.
So
console.
it says it's centrally assessed by the Department of Revenue. So it looks
The one
like,
Air Force base near us, they fly a lot of F-16 drones. They've converted these.
So they determine the values.
F-16s,
And
the
who
older
gets the
ones,
money?
they've converted them to drones to be targets.
well, I know that we
They're
get
electronic
money,
targets.
but
They
it doesn't
It's
show
in a
up,
pot.
it doesn't show up in a
You'd
tax
be out playing
statement.
golf
Yeah.
and see these F-16s flying.
So,
This one guy that plays golf
So
with us,
somehow we must be able to
the
break
retired
down how
colonel,
much
he
money
said-
we
yeah,
get
he
from
said there's-
each different one though.
he said there's some kids
When you
down
get
there.
that pot of money,
we
do they
do, but it's,
They
give any determinations
Said that
on that?
Yes.
Whether it's the power lines,
There's
or the
a-
substations?
380-degree view.
There is
just
a
up there in the
report
cockpit. He says they've
that
done
we
all the
get from the
gauges.
Department of Revenue when I do taxes that we put
Most
in,
of the time they're flying them over the Gulf, so
someplace.
if they drop one, they get an engine failure or something,
that I
They're
think,
good to go.
but yeah, they're.
but I don't
they're
know how to
gamers.
pull it up here, but it's
Okay.
in my office.
So maybe next week, if you wanna see if you can find it, then
Yeah.
maybe next week, we can look at the report.
Yeah,
Maybe
I don't know
that'll
how
kinda
to,
differentiate.
like, put my fingers on it, like, right this second, but I know that,
Does it get hard copy filed then, or is it electronic?
I think it's electronic. And I think that if I go to the Department of Management or Revenue, I could probably find it,
Okay.
but it's gonna take longer than what
Yeah.
we want to deal with right now.
Yeah.
That would help some, I think, if we just,
Mm-hmm,
Well, obviously wasn't the initial issue that we were dealing with, but now we're all curious
right,
and wanna know.
right.
I'm not overly concerned with the initial.
well, and then I guess the other question that Kelsey could weigh in on is, do we have any control of the property there?
Can we change the zoning? I mean, after the fact, we
I mean,
usually, we think
I don't
grandfather
think
in.
so, because, like I said, it's with the Department of Revenue, and Heartland Power pays a certain amount of money, and Alliant Energy pays a certain amount of money, and each place pays this lump sum of money that,
But
Is told
what
us.
what is
They figured out
correct, if somebody wanted to put another, not necessarily Bitcoin, on those properties, I don't care what it is, I mean, it's a turbine or
Well,
some,
see, that has footings, it has value. Where
But
this
you
is
know-
you can only tax the housing. And it's concrete slab and
So the turbines were getting cheap
and not even a
too.
house,
Right.
nothing housed.
it's not.
well, and buildings on leased land are different too. So they're not,
Well,
and you can ask, Sue knows more about buildings on leased land than what I do. I don't know how that works.
but you think there's dozens and dozens of buildings on acreages that are slabs. They don't have footings,
She identifies them as such.
but they're not called temporary buildings
Well-
then.
I know, I've seen one, I used to be on the board of review, so we would look at those, every year, and they would come to her and say, well, no, this is just a temporary, it's either on skids, or it's just a floating slab, and, you can't tax it. Like at my place, I have my hog building and my other one that's a pole building, the hog building has footings, they're all taxable. But I have other skid buildings that aren't taxable. They're actually buildings.
And this is Matt again, and in our ordinance, it actually specifies foundation, permanent at a minimum. A permanent foundation must be located at each corner of the structure being supported. A pillar support system that includes cement or cemented structure that extends below the normal frost line.
That's the,
That's at
Their
least what, 4
definition.
feet?
well, at least 32 inches.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
All right, well,
thanks, Matt.
You bet.
if there's nothing else to discuss on that, we'll stand adjourned.